Commander Stent, a subordinate of Grand Admiral Thrawn in his Empire of the Hand, famously told Mara Jade that the unknown regions are home to 100 different threats that would freeze your blood if you knew about them. While early appearances of the extragalactic invaders, the Yuuzhan Vong, may be the first thing you think of with this quote, there's something far more disturbing hiding in the unknown regions, and which may hold the answer to why the unknown regions are so unknown. This is Nal Nal, the whispered horror of the unknown regions. Nal Nal is a being unlike any other in the Star Wars galaxy. In its default form as a pool of grey ooze, it seems unthreatening, but there's no entity you'd want to come across less. While there can be different pools of ooze in different places, they all seem to be part of one entity acting in concert, no matter where in the galaxy the pool exists. By far the highest concentration of Nal Nal is on the planet Mungfalo, which is covered in oceans of the substance broken up only by barren continents of petrified forests. But being ooze doesn't stop Nal Nal from spreading. Pools of Nal Nal are able to form themselves into tentacles, eye stalks, or even break off parts of themselves into independent creatures capable of flight in order to interact with their environment before rejoining with other parts of Nal Nal. This is primarily done in the interest of finding new hosts and victims. While these protrusions and creatures can allow Nal Nal to transport itself and even operate spaceships independently, it prefers to infect and rely on hosts. Hapless beings who come across a pool of Nal Nal may find themselves suddenly sprayed with some of the oozy substance, which over the course of a single day can consume the inside tissue of that host until they're just husks of ooze, disguising the Nal Nal controlling them and being used to spread to other victims. The spread of Nal Nal has been a slow but ever-present factor in galactic history. Other species which are themselves seen as terrifying death dealers in the unknown regions like the Croak and the Gubra are constantly fighting encroaching Nal Nal infections, which can only be effectively stopped by burning the ooze, and in the past Nal Nal has been responsible for the ruination of entire empires like the Viz Empire. Left unchecked, Nal Nal can turn and likely has turned other planets into wastelands like Mungfalo, but because the hosts decay before long, it has limited time to trick new hosts before it has to return to waiting in pools of abandoned sewers throughout the unknown regions. Unlike many cosmic horrors built to consume, Nal Nal is not a mindless entity focused only on its own growth. In some situations, likely when using hosts, Nal Nal is able to communicate with other beings and takes enormous pleasure in deceiving them and luring them into its clutches, or just emotionally manipulating them into self-destructive acts like opening the airlocks on space stations rather than consuming them. While its ability to infect hosts may mean it can be hiding anywhere, its control of the host is not perfect. Movements will often be stiff and mechanical, and any sign of life like breathing or a heartbeat would not be present if you check closely enough, though by then it's probably just going to spit in your face or something. If dealing with a group of Nal Nal zombies, they'll seem to move in a choreographed way since it is all one entity, or they'll make strange sounds while speaking. While often this is a ploy to get new hosts, sometimes Nal Nal wants everyone to know what it is and that it is messing with you. There are many stories of Nal Nal reanimating deceased children to parade them in front of grieving parents. And the entity even likes taking souvenirs. Mungfalo is surrounded by abandoned ships formerly crewed by its victims for no other reason than Nal Nal wanting to collect them. When not trying to hide its identity, Nal Nal has spoken of ancient times, coexisting with and preying on old civilizations like the Rakatan Infinite Empire, and even the Celestials, an ancient species which basically built all the wonders of the galaxy. It's been theorized that the Celestials may even have intentionally created the barriers impeding travel within the unknown regions for the explicit purpose of limiting the spread of Nal Nal, which is, according to the Unknown Regions sourcebook, well within their capabilities. Growing contact between the unknown region groups like the Chiss and the known galaxy residents which have happened since the fall of the Celestials and the Rakatans, and the creation of an Imperial experiment possibly built on studying Nal Nal named Project Blackwing, is an indication that if this is why the barrier exists, it may not keep doing its job for long. While Nal Nal is an exponentially growing existential threat to the known galaxy, it's possible that it's not even from the Star Wars galaxy's dimension, as it's been compared to other extra-dimensional goo beings like Waru, who we talked about in our prior video about the extra-dimensional beings of Star Wars. So far, Nal Nal has really just appeared in sourcebooks as a way for Dan Wallace to bring in some Lovecraftian horror and add original content for the Unknown Regions sourcebook. Considering the increased cultural focus on infections for obvious reasons in the real world, I wouldn't be surprised if we started to get a couple stories about something like Null Null in the future. That's going to do it for today though. Thanks to Keelhaul for providing me with some videos of their Mug Follow map made for Empire War Expanded, since this otherwise doesn't have much visual material to work with. If you want to see their map creation process in action, there'll be a link to their channel in the description, so go give them some support if you're a fan of the EAWX mods.